That song you love is on right now, not later, not on a playlist, not something you have to pay for. I mean live, right now. That's called radio. In Seattle, that's called Warm 106.9.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Staying Power. This is a show that is all about building a better life. And what could we spend our time talking about that would be more better spent than building a better life? Very few things, as a matter of fact. And so we take an hour every single week to talk about one element of what it takes to build a better life. And we hope that it resonates with you. And we hope to give you some things to apply in your everyday life that you will find useful. And it's kind of what we do every single day and every single week. And by we, I mean myself, JDK Winnikin, and across from me here in the Staying Power Studios, the lovely, the wonderful, the talented, the sublime Ashley Kniebel. Hi, Ashley.
Goodness. Hi.
How are you?
Very good. Thank you.
Good, good. How have things been? You've been an active person of late. You've been doing lots of stuff.
I have been busy and I have been active, but all good things. Honestly, I'm on the right side of the earth. I'm above ground and I'm enjoying life, and it's been great.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I'm glad to hear that. It's always a good place to start, right? Above ground. Each day, right? You know,
I would say so.
Starting with gratitude just for that is usually a good place to start.
Right.
Okay, well, and we had thought about kind of doing an April Fool's thing here at the front of today's show because today's...
Is it April Fool's?
It is April Fool's Day,
Oh.
Yes. And of course, some people love this holiday. Some people hate it.
Are you a jokester on April Fool's?
I never plan it out. Like I never do anything elaborate or anything like that. I don't even know what it would mean to plan something, you know?
Right.
So,
I mean, I've seen things online where people will like bring in like donut boxes and the boxes are full of like vegetables, which I think is atrocious.
that is
How
horrible.
dare you do
Yeah,
that?
see, I don't like to do that.
Yeah, I'm like, unless you have donuts that are coming in afterwards.
Right. Yeah, unless you're
But
going to like...
There are some people that really go all out with the jokes.
There are. And sometimes they can go too far, stuff like that. So I think I'm always kind of worried about doing something that would go too far, right, and cause a problem. So no, but I do appreciate the notion of a day that's thinking about humor or whatever. But so we thought about doing something today, but couldn't really come up with anything.
We were not humorous on this
No,
one.
we're not humorous. But nevertheless, we are going to talk about something related to this, sort of. Instead of kind of going with like a episode about humor or something like that, which we've covered before, right? We decided, friendly listener, that we wanted to talk about foolishness. What is it actually? In terms of April Fools, it's like you've been fooled by something, right? And it is sort of meant to make you look bad. Like if you get fooled by something, you're kind of, getting embarrassed. But we're going to talk instead today about foolishness in a little bit of a different way. What does it actually mean? If it isn't a punchline, what is foolishness? And I guess, Ashley, you and I have been talking a little bit about this. Like, how would we define this? And foolishness in our lives can look like a lot of things, like maybe misjudgments about ourselves or jumping to conclusions too quickly about ourselves or about others. What are some other ones that come to mind for you? Anything?
Ooh.
Things that maybe blind spots?
Carelessness.
Like just in our decision making?
I mean, usually when I hear someone's like being foolish, they're talking about younger adolescent people who are quote unquote foolish. Like they're very careless. They're making frivolous decisions. They're not thinking about the consequences. But adults can do that too. Now it looks different because you have more waging on those decisions. Right?
Oh, yeah.
When you're younger, like you can recoup and there's not a lot of responsibility there. But as an adult, we tend to have more responsibilities and larger wagers on our decisions, whether we realize it or not.
Right.
And sometimes we don't consider those before we make a decision. And if it goes wrong, then it usually is considered foolish because no consideration was given prior to the decision making.
Gotcha. Okay. So I like that. I like that a lot. So that includes like misjudgment, blind spots, ignoring your own feelings, right?
Because sometimes people may argue like, oh, I was being spontaneous. I'm trying to bring in more adventure with life and I'm trying to just do things on a whim and make it more exciting. But there is a difference between doing that and being responsible and doing that and being foolish.
Sure. Yeah, and it can even be in our decision making and in our thought processes too, right? Ignoring the signs that we should probably be doing something different. Or one you mentioned before the show, having issues going on that you need to attend to, but not attending them. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I would put that in there as well.
Okay. So a foolishness in the sense of foolishness being things that are keeping us back from really kind of reaching new levels or kind of building ourselves out or living our day in, day out lives the way we would like to, with a little more ease.
Yes. Whenever I think of someone as being foolish or somebody taking it and calling it foolishness, I'm like, you are taking the route of lack of responsibility.
Oh.
And you're using it as an excuse to not take responsibility.
Oh, that's another good one.
When you're at the level where you know better,
Okay.
like little children can be foolish and we think it's cute. But when you're an adult, it's not cute anymore.
Right.
Like, differently. You know better. And it's not necessarily always the best to use that as a reason to skirt your responsibilities.
I like that. And related to that, it's not a question of whether a foolish person is not intelligent and a non-foolish person is intelligent. Because lots of intelligent people, ourselves included, can have our moments of foolishness.
Oh, of course.
Right? So it's not so much about that. It's not about a lack of intelligence. It's more about, I guess, perceptions and realities not matching up, right? Either misjudging something or jumping to conclusions or avoiding an issue that is very real and pretending that it's not. All things I think we can relate to. I certainly can relate to it. Right?
Yep, I can too.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay. So, interesting. So this is what we're going to do today. This is kind of fun. So where do you want to start? What do you want to dig into first?
Ooh, that's a good question. I mean, for me, when I see foolishness in other people, and I say that with grace because I too have done many things, that were deemed foolish, that I deemed foolish when I looked back, right? However, I always see it in other people, or at least when I see it, what I see is usually there are things that they know are going on in their life that might be problematic or are causing them to not have such a fulfilling life. Like, it's causing them distress. It's causing them issues. It's not healthy. And they are like, oh, I'll deal with it later. I'm just going to sweep it under the rug. Or it's there. I know I need to deal with it, but it's not so bad. Like, I don't feel the effects of it right now. So I'm just going to let it sit there until I'm feeling like I have enough bandwidth or I'm comfortable enough to address the issue or it becomes so prominent, I have no choice. Usually that's when people deal with issues.
Yeah.
That are really uncomfortable when they have no choice anymore, right?
And usually something rough has happened.
Something has triggered that to cascade down. And to me, when I look at that, and foolish is kind of not the word I would normally, it feels kind of strange to assign that word to something like that. But when you start to look at like what foolishness really is it could be like an emotional override. It could be a misjudgment about something. And when you look at it through that lens, there's a little bit more grace, I think, given.
Yeah.
Because, of course, we have these natural tendencies, like even your brain will do that, where it will instill fear. So you step away from that. You don't want to just fully engage in it, right? So even when you feel something like that, you will naturally be like, oh, I'm going to like water it down so it's not so difficult. It doesn't feel so painful to deal with. But it doesn't mean that it shouldn't be dealt with. And actually, it probably means it needs to be dealt with more. Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about sort of kicking the can down the road, right? Knowing something that needs to be taken care of, but then for whatever reason, right? Usually, like you said, a lack of willingness to engage in the uncomfortable feelings that will result, or the difficult choices or the difficult conversations or the difficult feelings that will be felt, avoiding doing such a thing.
Well, and sometimes too, I think, and this is so normal because I have done this myself. I'm sure you have. I'm sure many people have, where we're like, well, it's just not that bad yet. Do I really need to have that uncomfortable conversation? Do I really need to engage in what's going to require of me to handle this right now? Or can I delay it because that feels more comfortable and I know it's coming, but when it comes, I'll be ready, is the story you tell yourself. And you kick that can down the road further and you put off something. Now, I will also say that there are times when maybe it's not quite ready, because maybe there is a chance that things change and things get better or whatnot, or, the circumstance might be different.
Sure.
But I feel like a lot of times, like, we know.
Somewhere deep down we do. And we like to throw out statements to kind of let ourselves off the hook. A couple of my favorites are, well, we'll see. That's one.
What are you saying? Yeah.
We'll see. Like, what do you mean? Why?
I'm just looking.
And I'm always amazed, and I'll call it out usually when somebody has given me a long story about something difficult they're going through. Like, oh, no, wow, we'll see. I think you see pretty well right now. What is it about we'll see? What are you putting off? That's one of them.
Who's Will and what is he seeing?
Who's Will is what he's seeing.
Yeah, but like, what are you seeing?
What are you seeing, and why do you need to see more, right? And another one that I think we now hide behind, another one we hide behind now, is it is what it is. Yeah. That one gets used a lot. Mm-hmm. It is what it is. Yes, that is true. Mm-hmm. But if it is used in the context oftentimes of, well, this situation is something, or if you're ignoring reality or avoiding a difficult decision, and then you plop in, well, it is what it is. It's like, well, congratulations for seeing reality, but why is the reality of this situation something you need to stay in necessarily? And again, you're right. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it does mean, yeah, it is what it is. I want it. Then it becomes more of like, I want to spend more time on this before I make a decision. Mm-hmm. It's that ownership, I think, that matters.
I was going to say that's what I always feel come up when people say that. It is what it is. Usually the context I see that in is they're like, I'm not ready to take responsibility, so I'm going to put myself with some space in there.
It is what it is. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I want to make sure we're clear about that. We don't always have the bandwidth to, in a situation that we know probably needs to change, to be able to change it in that moment, right? But what we're talking about is denying even getting to that point, right? Right? That's what we're talking about.
Sure.
It's just avoiding that. And there's so many examples, right? The relationship that has clearly run its course is one of them. Mm-hmm. A job that is now sucking the life out of you, right? A conversation you need to have with a loved one that is well overdue, and it is, and it's a detriment. It's causing emotional distress. Anything that is causing that, anything that is limiting ourselves down that we're tolerating, right? And then trying to find a way to pretend that's not happening is the type of foolishness that we're talking about. It can happen in a couple of ways. Sometimes people will move so fast in their decision making, right? Boom, 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 boom. They'll just run through stuff, and it'll be oftentimes behind the guise of confidence. Like, yeah, I move fast, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
But maybe they're actually blazing by really what they know is they need to do, or what needs to change, or a reality they don't want to admit. And then there's others who
Well, I would say
freeze.
In that, especially if they make decisions really fast, that they know the responsibility of that decision is going to land on somebody else's shoulders, then they're never taking responsibility.
Right. It's an interesting theme. Like you keep coming back to that, which I think is really interesting.
I do.
No, you do. This idea of personal responsibility, and that is kind of a good way to umbrella this a little bit. This idea of foolishness, as we're talking about, you're not being foolish if you're taking responsibility for your own feelings, for your own situation, for the choices you need to make. And then ideally, I think, taking the steps to move towards action upon those things to address them. Mm-hmm. Because yes, that would make things better for yourself, but that's also reality. If the reality is there is something in our lives that we know isn't working for us, why do we have trouble taking the steps to change that, to make it better for ourselves, right? Foolishness is about being fooled. And what we're talking about is an inside job.
Right. Yeah.
April Fool's Day is about the outside job. Somebody fooling us in a joking manner, right? We're talking about fooling ourselves in an internal sense.
Which I would say, if you're going to measure that's so much heavier than to have another person fool you. Okay, great. So what? Somebody pulled something over on you. But when you are fooling you, to me, that brings up something of like, why are you and you not on the same page? Why is you able to fool you? And you know it and you still allow it. So who is in denial and who needs to sit down with who and have a conversation? And sometimes that obviously it's uncomfortable because it means there's something knocking on your door being like, hi, it's time to grow. You weren't ready for me to arrive, but I'm here I am, and it's time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's hard.
And sometimes it's more about not embracing what is in front of you, that you're like, this is difficult, but I need to release this, and more so embracing the knock on the door of growth. Of like, hey, it's time to put down our foolishness and it's time to grow a little bit, and there'll be foolishness on your next level. Because that fool loves to run around. He's like a little elf. He comes around every time. He'll always be there.
That's true.
And you can entertain him, but you leave him where he's at the end of the day.
You know, for those of you who listen to the show for a long time, you know that I've said before, there's at least one time in every show where Ashley says something where I just kind of go, whoa. You had like 4 right there. I can't even keep track of all of them. Yeah.
We're so early in the episode.
I know, exactly. But like this idea of why are you and you not on the same page with you? Yeah. So often, if we think about it, isn't that oftentimes at the center of whatever is bringing us angst in our life?
Usually, yes.
Is something in there is within ourselves is not on the same page, but could be if we simply just opened up and admitted it to ourselves.
Well, and the question is why have you not?
Well,
does that version of you not feel comfortable to share it because it's going to feel uncomfortable sharing it to the people who are, the other yous that are listening and observing? And why? Because it's so heavy what they bring, or because they're worried and afraid of what the other yous are going to say and judge and respond?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's all you. This should be the most comfortable space because it's where you live. It's inside your everyday being.
Yeah, and the emotions we can feel that are difficult are still ours. Right. So many of these things, I think, come back to the difficulty of feeling the feelings that we don't want to feel, and attached to that, all the stories that we tend to tell ourselves coming out of those feelings. Right. That if this relationship ends, it means there's something wrong with me, or that means I'm going to be alone for the rest of my life. That's the story based off of an emotional reaction of sadness to a relationship ending, right? We tend to feel like the negative feelings or the difficult feelings we're going to have are going to kill us just by the very act of feeling them.
Yeah.
Right? Or we take a look at our circumstances and go, okay, well, if I make this decision A means I've got to then make decisions about B, C, D, E, or F, and I'm not ready for that yet.
Right.
It's seemingly too overwhelming.
And in some cases that can be.
Sure.
You break up from somebody, you need to move out. Now you got to find your new habits, your new routines, where you're going to live. There are so many things that can come from decisions like that.
Yeah, it takes time. It takes time.
Times.
Okay, so we're talking about this internal sense of fooling ourselves and all this kind of stuff. Okay, great. Oh, all right. Many twists and turns. Here we are at the arrival of our first break. And when we come back, we will continue this conversation, of course, because that's what we do here on Staying Power. But first, we will have our weekly segment, which this week is a very special 2 minutes of triumph. So you want to come back after the break to hear about a triumph that actually, for the first time, I think, in the history of the show, Ashley and I have the exact same one. So come back and find out what that means here on Staying.
When I smoke weed, I get lost in the music. I like to isolate each instrument. The rhythmic bass, the harmonies on the piano, the sticky melody.
Hey, careful, babe. There's someone crossing the street.
Sorry, I didn't see him there.
If you feel different, you drive different. Don't drive high. It's dangerous and illegal everywhere. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Hello, I'm Chris Erdman. Every Wednesday at 8 a.m. on KKNW, I sit down with inspiring entrepreneurs, creative minds, and game changers to uncover the real stories behind their business. On my show, Made of More, we explore the challenges that they've overcome, the breakthroughs that they've celebrated, and the mindset that drives them forward. If you're ready to unlock your full entrepreneurial potential, Made of More is the show for you, because here we know you are made of more. every Wednesday at 8 a.m. on KKNW.
Ready to shake things up? Try Alternative Talk 1150.
Welcome back to Staying Power. JD here with Ashley.
Hello.
And we are talking about foolishness here on this April Fool's Day of 2026. But internal foolishness, right? We had to work through that a little bit, Ashley, to come to some terminology, but we found it. And that's good, right? Internal foolishness. Beautiful. All right. But before we get back into that, it is time for our weekly segment where Ashley and I each take 2 minutes to talk about something that happened in our week and share a little bit about what it did for us, how we dealt with it, all in the name of being open, vulnerable, and connecting, which is really at the core of building a better life. So without further ado, here we go. It's a special one today. 2 minutes of triumph.
Yes!
All right. The original old school. All right. Ashley.
Yes.
Let's talk about our triumph.
Can we talk about it now?
We can talk about it now. We finally can. We've been teasing this for
open the
weeks.
box.
Yes, go ahead, Ashley.
You want me to say it?
I do.
Really?
I do.
Our show has its very first sponsor.
Yay.
Like legitimate sponsor.
Yes, absolutely. We are thrilled to announce that we have a sponsor for the show. It's our first one. And it is a wonderful company, Pars Revive Renovations. It is a home renovation company here in the Puget Sound area, specifically in the Bellevue East Side area of Seattle. If those of you who are listening on radio who live in this area, you know where that is. For those of you who are listening outside of this area, and there's a lot of you, let's just say you will wish that you had Pars Revive Renovations available to work on your house wherever you are. And first of all, if you want to know where you can find them at Pars, that's P-A-R-S, parsrenovation.com. They do custom renovations of homes, almost any room in the house. In fact, I think it's any room in the house. Mm-hmm. And they build it to your specifics, what you're looking to do.
Right.
They are a great fit for us in a lot of ways because as they are renovating people's homes around the way people want them to renovate, what do we talk about on this show, Ashley?
We talk about renovating our life.
Renovating our life, exactly. So it fits really, really well, and we're excited to have them on board. The more time you spend with us on this show and on our social media feeds going forward, you're going to see more of their work. We're going to be going to their work locations. We're going to be showing you some of the results of the work that they do and getting some good stories about the type of work that they do. And you'll be able to take a look at that. And if you are in the Puget Sound, in their service area, you can hire them to come take a look at doing the renovation that you've always wanted to do in your home. Because, of course, as we've talked about on the show many times, Ashley, your environment really matters.
It really does. And I am so excited and really proud to say that we have partnered with somebody who is so authentic and whose moral compass really aligns with what we talk about on this show.
Yep.
And it's just a true honor to have partnered with a company like this and for it to be our first one and so strong right out of the gate.
Yeah.
I'm just very appreciative.
Yes,
of
absolutely.
We're very
thrilled.
cool.
Yeah, we're very thrilled. It's not just the results of their work, it's how they do their work that is so attractive to us. So thank you again to Pars Revive Renovation for sponsoring Staying Power. We're so excited to have them on board. You're going to hear a lot more about them. And remember, you can visit them at parsrenovation.com. And not to worry, if you didn't have a chance to write that down because you're driving or you're in an airplane or you just don't have a pen, the link to their website will be in the show notes. Yeah. So you can find that. And those show notes are available wherever you get your podcasts. They're also available on our YouTube channel, and they're available at our radio home, 1150 AM KKNW. Thanks again to Pars Revive Renovation. That is our 2 minutes of triumph. It's a huge deal for us. Right. There we go. Yeah. High fivers here in the studio. All right. Thanks so much to them. And you'll be hearing more about them in the future, a lot about them in the future. So, okay, Ashley, getting back to
foolishness.
Right?
Happy April Fools.
Yeah. In the way that we're talking about it, right? Which is, of course, internally kind of fooling ourselves, which is another way of saying preventing ourselves from seeing, admitting, and acting upon reality. And we kind of hinted before the break that there's a lot of reasons for this, right? And the most obvious one is we're emotionally protecting ourselves.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
Which sometimes, as you rightfully pointed out, we need to do. because we aren't maybe we aren't ready in the moment to make a big decision and deal with all the ramifications that come with that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think even in situations like that, to recognize that something needs to change or something is going to change is the issue. We're talking about not even being willing to admit that part. So emotional protection is one of them. Certainly social conditioning is another. We've been conditioned to believe that, well, we need to keep things smooth, right? Or you need to see things through, or really just toughen up, right? And deal with something. That's one of them. And then, of course, on a core, basic, fundamental human level, evolutionary efficiency. We have to be able to make quick decisions to survive. And sometimes we make these decisions because it's like the easiest way to survive is to pretend the problem's not there.
Oh, of course.
Or to push it off to the side.
Well, it's more comfortable doing that.
Right.
Right. And then you can just put it off and keep living life until, like we said in the first segment, when it becomes too large of a problem to ignore. And then you have no choice. And I mean, there's multitude of issues of why that's not the best route to go. But one of them is usually when it gets to the point when you have no choice, you don't always make the best decision or present the best because you're not prepared and ready.
Right. Or a choice has been made for you.
Yes. Or right. Or it's been made for you. And at that point, now you're in reactive mode instead of proactive mode. And not to say that you have to be so proactive and know the answers to everything. But if you're not, quote unquote, ready to make a large decision, at least give yourself some time to consider, if that decision was made for me tomorrow, what were my options? What am I going to do? What could I do? So then when comes the day, if you choose to ignore that and it happens to you and you have no choice in the matter, or the decision is made for you and you have no choice in that matter, you have options. You're not scrambling anymore. Because, and in some regards, like, you can't always prepare because you don't know what to prepare for when you don't know. But there are times when people, it's like they lose their smarts and they're just running off of some sort of reserve they didn't even know they had that has no brain capacity tied to it.
Survival mode, that kind of thing?
Yes, and it's like survival mode at the worst.
And it's survival mode by denying that something maybe needs to be changed.
Yeah. And usually those things that need to be changed are really important because they influence your well-being, your health, your mental health, your emotional health, and so many really important things. And sometimes, to me, that begs the question is, why did you not deem your health and all those capacities important enough to give a damn, to consider being responsible of those before said foolish object or thing comes in and overrides it for you? Your self-worth should be so high that I value me so much that I am prepared, myself, and all of myself is in alignment to handle and make a decision.
Yeah.
Whether we feel really strongly and really confident or shaky and like not sure, but all of me is in an alignment and we're going all in on it.
And then following through without necessarily knowing how it's going to turn out.
Right. Because you know you can bet on yourself.
Exactly. Well, and in the end, chances are if you bet on yourself, you're still going to walk away from it. Right. I mean, that's the thing is if we play the tape out on our worst case scenarios and instead say, okay, let me operate from the assumption that I can make a decision like this and I will survive it. And not only will I survive it, I will be doing better because of it. Once I'm through the difficult emotions, what does that look like? If you play out that exercise, you can actually find yourself really kind of recognizing that, okay, yeah, I can do this. Problem is, internal foolishness fools us into thinking that if we stave this off, maybe we won't have to make the decision. Things will just improve on their own by magic. And B, we get to avoid all the difficult emotions that we already think are going to kill us. Right. So there's lots of different types of emotional foolishness. So I thought we could just kind of go back and forth on these, right? So there's like the many forms of it. Emotional foolishness, when feelings override perspective, right? And this can look like lots of things, like reacting defensively to things because we're in a difficult space or a situation we're in reminds us of one in the past that was painful, right? And so we do that. or misreading somebody's tone, right? I see this a lot with younger clients who have emotional reactions to the texts that they get, right? I know, right? They misread the tone. You cannot read tone in text. It's so dangerous. I actually have policies with some very, very close people in my life that, look, if we're going to dig into something difficult or we have to have a challenging conversation, we're sure as hell not doing it on text.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting on the phone, or even better, we're either going to be face-to-face in person,
right,
or we're going to be on Zoom where we can look each other in the eye.
Well, because usually in those instances, you have to remember that you are reading their response in your chosen tonality, what you have already predetermined in your mental state of what you think they're going to say. And this could go either way. This could be you getting a text and reading it in like the highest exciting possible positive way, and maybe that's not how it was meant.
Right.
It's complimentary.
Could go the other way too. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And it could
This
also
person
be right.
loves
Yeah.
me.
Oh my gosh, did you see what they said about
Oh
me?
my
Like
gosh,
clearly
they
I'm
love
important to them.
me.
Yeah. And that's also foolish.
That's a good point.
Or it could be read in a way that is taken so wrongly and not how it was intended, or so harshly.
Yeah.
And so uncomfortable in a way that was also not intended.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you're doing things like trying to read between the lines of every single word of the text, or like and I've heard clients say this, they didn't include any emojis this time.
Oh, geez.
You must be serious. And yet they're having these serious emotional reactions, these emotional responses that are flooding their nervous system and making it difficult for them to connect with reality. I mean, this is the thing. For all of you listeners out there, remember, first and foremost, we all do these things, right? Ashley and I are talking about them and having a chuckle and things like that. But I guarantee you, because we know each other so well, we're thinking of examples in our own lives and in each other's lives where we have either wrestled with these very things before or are currently wrestling with them. And so if there's any of this is coming up for you where you're like, yep, there's me, I would encourage you to just let that recognition or that admission kind of sit with you for the duration of this conversation. Don't push it away. Don't push it away. And see how this stuff, see what we're talking about might match up, and see if there's something there from this that you can apply to your own situation. So emotional foolishness, right, is one.
Well,
there's other ones too.
There's others, like we are so good at creating narratives, whether we realize it or not. You are constantly creating a narrative in your mind when somebody acts a certain way and interacts with you, whether they message you something or they say something. In our minds, we are creating a story of why they said that and the way they said that. What do they mean by that? And it might be right. It might be not right. But a lot of times the question is, like, are you in present reality and considering all sides of that before making a decision and a response to what they said? Have you really considered maybe where they're at when they message this, especially if it's like just an email or a text or something coming in? Like, you probably have no idea the environment and the mental space that they were in when that was written and sent. Now, the hope is they were very cognizant and sound and aware of word choice and whatnot before sending it. But sometimes maybe they were like rushing, or they're at a stoplight and they're trying to, very quickly. Or
we don't recommend that, by the way.
I don't. Don't do that. But
right. They're just tearing one off before they go into a meeting. Before they go into a meeting.
Typo,
typo, right. Autocorrect.
Yes.
Could pick the wrong word.
Things. Or, somebody said something and the tone of their voice said something different. And you picked up on the tone of voice instead of the words.
Or projected the tone of voice into the words.
Yes.
Right.
And people are not always good, and it doesn't always come natural to use logic first. I really try to, when I get responses and whatnot that are not super comfortable or things I don't quite understand from people, I really try to do logic forward instead of emotion forward. And it usually serves me better because I'm able to just read it for what it is and see it for what it is and let them assign the intended content behind it.
Yeah, and even just ask the question. Like, hey, are you all right?
I have done that when I've gotten something. I'm like, this is the tonality I read this in. Is this what you meant? And that seems kind of weird to say that, But I couldn't tell you how much time and devastation and emotional distress and whatnot it saved me.
Oh, yeah.
From just asking that. And then it also gives them the grace to be like, wow, you cared enough to ask? And thank you for giving me the opportunity to correct this, because we really, really almost derailed something, we didn't.
And you give the other person on the other end the opportunity to not feel attacked, because it's not an attack. It's a question. That came across this way to me. Am I right about that? Gives them a chance to go, oh, let me think about that. And it's not an accusation. They're not immediately on the defensive, right?
And it shows you're coming to this palms open.
Yeah.
They're not closed in a fighting stance. They're open like, I want to understand.
Right. All very good.
I'm receiving.
Very good. I love it. Okay. Well, there's a lot more we can get to, and we will get to in our final segment here on Staying Power, which has to happen after this next break. We're covering quite a bit. So let's go and take our second break here on Staying Power. When we come back, we'll talk about a few more of these different ways that we can kind of fool ourselves and talk about some practical ways not to do that, which, of course, is the whole point. Right? All right. We'll be right back here on Staying Power. Stick around.
Talking about guns with others might not always feel comfortable, but it could save a life. Here's a way to start a conversation. Your family is going over to your neighbor's home for dinner for the first time. How would you ask if there are any unlocked guns in the home?
Hey, we're so excited for tonight. Before we come over, though, may I ask if there are any unlocked guns in your home?
Our guns are stored securely, locked in a safe that the kids can't access.
Awesome.
Learn how to have the conversation at agreetoagree.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Don't ask me to talk.
There's a lot of talk out there. Political talk, sports talk, girl talk, trash talk, and so on. But there's only one, Don't Ask Me to Talk, helmed by conversational off-roaders and podcast pals Eric Ryder and Stacy Heller. They follow every tangent they encounter, from cultural blind spots to their infamous weekly Wheelo topics. Listen wherever you listen to your fave podcasts. Subscribe and share too. Or tune in every Saturday at 3 p.m. or Tuesday at 4 p.m. on KKNW.
There's a reason they invented the internet. It's called 1150kknw.com.
Welcome back to Staying Power. JD here with Ashley.
Hello.
We are talking about fooling ourselves here on April Fool's Day. I almost said St. Patrick's Day. That was a few weeks ago. Okay. It's a little difference. Well, there's some of us that fool ourselves on St. Patrick's Day, fooling ourselves into thinking I can have one more of these beers. I'll be fine.
Oh my gosh.
Right. So I'm not speaking from experience, not this year anyway, but nevertheless. All right. So here we are. Moving on. Want to talk about foolishness? There's some. Okay. All right. So Ashley, we're talking a little bit about different ways we can fool ourselves. We talked about kind of emotional, kind of overreaction. We talked about kind of stories that we can tell ourselves and about others. There's also things like overconfidence, right? Overconfidence and like being so certain that we are right? Which is essentially pretty much 9/10 of what's on social media.
Oh, of course.
Right? People blasting out what they are arguing and believe deeply is certain. And really what that can be, though, is really a way to reinforce our overconfidence bias, right? We constantly overestimate our own accuracy and we constantly underestimate other people's potential to be accurate, right? And here's a couple things, and studies have shown this. People with less knowledge often are the ones that overestimate their own competence, right? And make the strongest, right, statements of absolute certainty. Usually those are people with less knowledge on something. And they tend not to recognize that in the end, just by the very nature of being human beings with cognitive functions that are shaped by our life experience, which are by their very nature incomplete, we all have blind spots that we don't recognize.
Mm-hmm. We
all do, right? To be truly confident is not to be correct all the time. To be truly confident is to recognize that there are a lot of things that we don't know about. That automatically reduces overconfidence. Because if you're overconfident and you believe something is true no matter what, you barrel over any other possibility of taking a look at something a little bit differently. And a lot of people like that, right? The whole alpha male thing that is so popular on social media is such a great example of this, right? Those types of things bug me. First and foremost, if you call yourself an alpha male, you're not, okay?
Go off, JD.
Yeah, you're not. If you call yourself an alpha male, you're not. And not only are you not, you're creating a category that doesn't exist. Okay, it's that simple.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to know more about that, reach out to me and I'll be happy to tell you why you're wrong. Okay, so anyway, I hate that stuff so much. But that's exactly what it is, right? It's exactly what that is. Okay, so there's other ones. What are some other ones? Forms of foolishness.
I mean, I would say like just not taking any responsibility of like how you react and what your defense mechanisms are.
Oh.
To be honest.
Okay.
Is
like, are we talking about like in social circles or just like in our everyday life?
Either or.
Either or.
It really, because you need to be aware of your own patterns. And this, we say this a lot on our show, is like, it's really good to spend time with yourself and really learn yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole point is so you can become better. And so you continue to grow and improve yourself. Now, some people have no desire to do that. They hit adulthood and they think, oh, where I landed in adulthood is just where I'm meant to be. And this is the best I can be. And I'm just going to live this out for the next 70 years and call it kosher. And then there's other people who are like, see this as land of opportunity over the next so many years. And I would say in that regard, like, look over maybe in the past or recent past or things that you feel are upcoming and see in yourself, how do I react and how quickly do I react? What are my defense mechanisms and how quickly do they rise? You know, and what is it that really triggers things in me? That
triggers reactions.
Right. And
responses.
Why?
Right. And why?
Why?
Yeah.
And is it an honest response that is deemed okay? Like, this would make sense. This is what I would expect from something like that. Maybe you went through something really horrific and that is your response. Or there are some where that is your response because that's your defense because you don't want to deal with what's behind the lines. And truly, you should have a clean camp, okay? Like, behind the lines should be so clean. You should know them inside and out. And again, you should be in full alignment. Because then you know when you're going up to the front lines, like, you have no doubt because you know what you're bringing.
Yeah.
You know who you are. You don't have these on a whim, foolish decisions. You can have on a whim decisions, but they're still sound and they're still responsible.
And they're aligned.
Yes.
Right.
You know, like, you have survived everything you have encountered in life so far. If you're
100%.
listening to this, if you're watching, you've survived everything.
100%.
And probably all of you at some point have gone through something that you didn't think you would make it. It was really painful, emotionally or physically, mentally, whatever. You have all probably gone through something that was like, this is going to end me. And you know what? If you're listening, it didn't. And there's a reason it didn't. And now you can look and see like, oh yeah, I have so much more. And I'm so glad I gave myself that chance to figure out what the more is.
Yep.
There's a lot still dwelling in there. And there's questions to ask of like, what might be missing? What might be coming in the future for me?
And what can I make smoother?
Right.
What are the internal battles that I don't need to have anymore? What are the internal stories that cause me so much angst that I don't need to hold on to anymore?
What can I take responsibility on so I don't have to take responsibility on later?
Right. And
Sounds great.
What is somebody else's responsibility?
Yes.
Right? Where's the dividing line? So, where are my expectations for how other people should be or how I should be? Do those need to be adjusted? There's so many of those, right? Those are all good.
Sometimes being wrong in the capacity that happens, because it does happen. Sometimes I make decisions that I think I feel very certain on and I'm wrong. Or I make a decision and I'm like, I'm pretty sure this is going to be the outcome. And it doesn't go that way. And I don't take that as part of my identity that I'm terrible at making decisions or I can't read people or whatnot. I'm like, I just take that as data. Like, I'm learning.
You do.
I'm going to take the hit, but take it in stride and keep going.
Yeah. And, I would encourage any listeners who want to better know how to do that, what that looks like, to reach out to Ashley. Because Ashley, you do it better than almost anybody I know.
Really?
Can own something. Okay,
thanks.
I made this decision and it didn't go the way I thought. Or it did. Like, I realized by doing this, I was probably setting myself up for this and this and this. And it did. But you take it as data and it doesn't slow you down. You don't spend a lot of time in rumination, I've noticed.
I really try not to.
Yeah, you really don't.
And I did that at one point because I'm like, oh, rumination's uncomfortable. And then I'm like, well, it is. But also, does rumination help me at all? Does it benefit me at all?
No.
Is there something else I can do to reflect?
That's a different thing.
Right.
Mhm.
And take some notes and learn my lessons and then keep going.
Yep.
Keep going.
Rumination is usually so much more about the stories you're telling yourself. What could I have done differently, or how could it have turned out? And having these almost like these fantasies in your head. If I would have known this, or if I would have done that, things would be so much better. I would be feeling better automatically. We never ask ourselves, well, if I'd made different decisions, maybe I'm in a worse situation.
That is so valid.
We don't ask
It's
ourselves
like,
that.
maybe I made the best decision in this situation, and this is the best it could be.
This is the best it could have been.
And
right.
in our mind, we'll make up stories of like how it could be better.
Yeah.
But we forget that there's other people, there's other things, there's other influences involved that you have no say over.
Absolutely. Not everything is within our purview
Right.
to change. Right.
You are within your purview.
That's it. Our responses, you talk about reactions, right? We spent a lot of time on the show talking about knowing the difference between having a reaction and formulating a response.
Mm-hmm.
You know, those are two different things. Ooh, these are good. Okay, another one that comes to mind. One of the ones that I see quite a bit is what I would call avoidance disguised as logic, right? We talked a little bit about it at the top. Now's not the right time. That's one, right? It is what it is another one. I'm just being realistic. I love that. I'm not a pessimist. I'm a realist. That's another one I like, because it is that. It won't work anyway, right? Doesn't matter. Whatever's another one.
Such off-putting words.
They are. And what's so funny is we tend to dismiss them as, oh, wow, that's sophistication. That's an awareness.
Yeah.
Right.
Look at them. They're so
Look at them. They're so connected
mature.
with this. It's just, now's not the right time, or it is what it is, or whatever, or I'm just being realistic. So often, and whenever I have a client who says something like that, it immediately sends up all the lights in my head of like, okay, there's something in there they do not want to face, or some feeling they don't want to feel. Now, sometimes those things can be wisdom. Sometimes there's some truth to that. But when it's wisdom, it's with recognizing that you're taking a position that you don't have to take, that you're choosing to take. Because every single one of those things, now is not the right time, is an absolute statement where the power is outside of you. It won't work anyway. Same thing. Power's outside of you. You have no say in it. I'm just being realistic. Reality is this. You have no say in it.
Right.
If you are aware, though, that you're like, okay, I'm choosing to accept this paradigm, and therefore I can change my mind any time. You do that enough times, you stop saying things like, I'm just being realistic.
Right.
People ask me all the time. I sometimes get a lot. Are you a optimist, a pessimist, or a realist? And my answer usually is pretty pithy. It's like yes and no. Because it depends. If there's a situation that's going on that I'm evaluating to the best of my ability as objectively as I can, and I see a pessimistic outlook, I'm going to have a pessimistic outlook, right? I can also choose to be optimistic and say, well, here's the thing. Whether we're talking about something's going on in the world or things like that, we don't know how things are going to turn out. So you can be optimistic without being naive. You can be optimistic without fooling yourself. Optimism usually is a kind of a state of mind more than anything else. But nevertheless, those are some of those things, like people are like thinking like they're being really, really strong or coming across as really well connected, really connected with reality, when they're avoiding it just as much as somebody else is avoiding.
I mean, I would say, look at our greatest leaders. Look at people who have really made strides in our world. Have you ever seen them make a statement like that?
Nope.
Never. Like our world leaders. Can you imagine if a world leader was like, well, it is what it is on air? No.
Yeah. Well, we have some.
Well,
we have some that do.
And look how that's going.
Or worse, yeah, right. Look what happened. I mean, we have examples of what happens.
Exactly.
When you do, right.
And it's like, no. And they are men and women no different than us. Now, they might have more experiences. They may have more knowledge. But at the end of the day, they're making decisions that affect so many people. We struggle making decisions that affect us and maybe one or two other people at best.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple hundred people if you're like dealing with something in a work environment and you manage a lot of people or something of that capacity. However, there are other people in the world that are making like big, grandiose decisions that affect like thousands to millions of people. And they have to somehow figure out how to be confident in their decisions and not be foolish. Making decisions like that, like, and statements like that, and most great leaders probably don't even cross their mind.
Nope. Because it's not even part of the calculus.
No, it's not even allowed to enter the realm of possibility in their brain. Why should it be allowed in yours?
And the poor, right, exactly. And the poorest leaders are the ones that find some way, somehow, to avoid taking responsibility for their own actions or their own words or their own decisions. Mm-hmm. And yet some people will support that and go, okay, well, if you support that in them, you must probably support that in yourself.
Right. Well, and then that tells them like, oh, well, if you do that, then clearly I could do that.
Exactly.
And that doesn't always lead to great things.
No, very rarely does, as a matter of fact. Okay, in the time that we have left, Ashley, about 5 minutes, let's talk about some ways that we can all be less foolish without, of course, turning it into taking ourselves so damn seriously that we're no fun with ourselves or with anybody else.
Can we still have fun and be foolish?
We still have fun and be foolish. There's that. Frivolity is fine. Having fun is fine. Foolishness is denying reality, right? It's, we're doing something stupid. All right, and obviously we've highlighted some, but let's just kind of lay out a few of these at the end. Building awareness of your own patterns. You mentioned this in terms of what are you reacting to and why are you reacting to it so strongly, right? What is it that makes you defensive more than anything else, right? How can you better address that? What situations tend to trigger, senses of uncertainty or fear or pain or those types of things? Being aware of those patterns. And the thing about awareness is you don't have to do anything with it. Mm-hmm. If you can just be aware and go, okay, I know I don't want to react a certain way, but I don't know what to do. Just be aware and don't react and see what happens, right? What else?
Actually, I have a question for you.
Okay.
For the last couple of minutes, because we only have a few left.
Oh, boy. Okay.
In a fun way, because we've talked about foolishness in a very serious manner.
Okay.
Really.
Okay.
But there is another side of foolishness, and it's that playful, fun, lighthearted.
Ashley's calling audible here in the last few minutes. Okay. All
if
right.
you were to go out and do something foolish, JD, what would that be?
Foolish in a fun way that isn't
playful,
irresponsible.
Yes, not irresponsible.
Playful foolishness. I would go to a friend's house, somebody who who means a lot to me, and just tackle them. Yeah. Just grab them and throw them into a big hug, roll down the floor, just kind of give them one of those unexpected things. Mm-hmm. I'm just wrapping them up, right? And just having fun, something like that. That's what I would do. What about you?
I like that. Oh, me?
Ask me the
I
question.
would say, okay. If we're going in the name of playfulness and fun and things that are not totally devastating, I would say I would probably, on a whim, go out and dance all night with friends, and then maybe take some of them and go and find, hopefully, if it's not in Seattle area when it's super cloudy, but go somewhere and watch the stars.
Oh,
at night.
You can watch the sunrise too.
Yes, and then stay up until the sunrise.
Oh,
an all-nighter.
I like
and just
that.
In the name of fun and enjoyment and appreciation of natural things. And
that would be
probably having to get up and go to work the next morning, so I see 5 shots of espresso and
do it on a Friday or something.
Well, but if it calls on a Thursday,
it has to happen.
Then you never know.
That'd
but
be fun.
Something so fun, out of the blue.
Another one I would do is just throw down money for a plane ticket to go somewhere I've never been.
Right?
And just go. And even if I just went for the day, take an early morning flight, go somewhere, run around for the whole day, get on a plane and come back. That's something I'd do.
I don't know, do something fun like that. Hop in the car, drive to Canada overnight.
That's true.
Get there first thing in the morning, spend the whole day.
That's not far up here in the Pacific Northwest, by the way.
Unless it's not far.
2 hours.
But you know what I mean? Those kind of spur of the moment fun decisions.
Yeah, spontaneous.
Spontaneous and leaving the door open for really interesting, good things to happen.
I like that. Okay. Ashley called an audible right there at the end. Okay, that's fine. Not a problem. There's more to say on this. We'll probably say more about it in the weeks ahead because this is something that...
This is a good one.
It is. There's a lot to cover in all this because really in the end, when we talk about building a better life, if you want to build a better life, you have to be better connected with the reality of said life. Mm-hmm. And that means sometimes recognizing when you're being foolish by not paying attention to that reality.
Yeah, this is true.
Right. So All right. Well, thanks, Ashley, for all that. That was a
Thanks,
fun
JD.
conversation.
That was a great time.
And thanks to all of you for joining us for this episode of Staying Power. And remember, once again, if you missed any of this episode or you'd like to catch up on our over 100 other episodes, you can do so wherever you get your podcasts. You can also do it at our YouTube channel, Staying Power Show on YouTube. And you can also find out more about us at our radio home, which is 1150 AM KKNW in Seattle. At all those locations in the show notes, you can find all the links to things we've talked about in episodes, as well as links to the ways that you can reach out to us via email, stayingpowershow@gmail.com, or on our social media feeds. And of course, going forward, you will be able to find information on our sponsors, Pars Revive Renovation here in the east side of Seattle. Please check them out at parsrenovation.com and let us know what you like about what you see. And let us know, too, if you reach out to them. Reach out to them and tell them that Staying Power sent you and see what they tell you. All right? Hope you do that. We will be back next week with another way in which you can build a better life. And we hope that you'll join us and get something out of it. We look forward to seeing you then. I am JDK Whitman.
And I am Ashley Knievel.
And we will see you next time. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.